Hey everybody, welcome back to Doc's Autos. This is Tim, and today we are going on a field trip. Given our last 5 or 6 days with pretty much rain constantly, we're not working on the shop for a while. So we're taking a road trip going up to the big city, Minneapolis, to grab a vehicle. So stay tuned for more details on that. And here we go. So folks, what we're looking at here, if you haven't figured it out yet, is a 1998 Ford Mustang. Not a GT, just a base model V6, but it is in the really pretty sage green color, color code FU. No, I'm not being mean, that's the actual color code. I picked this up from a member of the family / subscriber, and it does need some work. It is not just a clean run and drive out the door. So let's take a quick look at it here. It does have 119,000 miles on it. Was a summer car, cabin car, whatever. Has not really seen a Minnesota winter. It is free of rust for the great portion of it. You know, a little bit of surface underneath, but that's no big deal. There's only about 3 little door dings that I've been able to see in the car, actually 4. And hopefully I can PDR those out. It does need a good old wash and wax and detail. The couple of problems with the car are, we can get under Mr. Hood. The couple of problems we have, the first here being with the engine, it supposedly is in need of head gaskets. There is a little bit of oil in the coolant, but there is no coolant in the oil, no milkshake at all. So I need to try and track and figure out where that's coming from. If it's as simple as a head gasket, if it's maybe the oil cooler, if that has given out and we have oil getting into the coolant via the cooling system, or could be 1 or 2 other things. But likely suspect is the head gaskets. That looks like a super fun job with all the stuff sitting on top of the engine here. Valve cover gaskets, upper intake, all that stuff comes off, injectors, the whole shebang. So that is the first item of business. Otherwise, the car itself in here is clean. It does not leak, it does not drip, does not burn anything. The only real issue mechanically is there's oil in the wrong spot. But other than a clean, good old cleaning here, this will be good to go once we figure out where the oil's coming from and how to fix that. The other problem is, other than it not being built for a guy my height, whoop, bye-bye, is, well, look, does have the retractable hardtop or soft top, and all the mechanics there do work, which is awesome. A lot of the electric sunroofs, electric or hydraulic, just don't work anymore for one reason or another. And the problem with this one is the cover itself. It has simply deteriorated from being 22 years old. And most of the damage and break is right along some of the crease lines from when it is folded back into the storage area. So that will be our second area of concern. Getting this replaced. No bother trying to repair it because it's gone. Luckily, you can go and look on American Muscle or CJ Pony Parts, I believe, for new tops, and those run about $300 to $500 depending on what you're looking for. If you've got the glass like we have, or plastic rear window, or a defroster or no defroster. So we'll be looking into that. Otherwise, the rest of the vehicle is very clean. The inside, even though it is just the base level interior, it's very clean inside. There's no stains, no rips or tears or scratches. It does have the Ford audio system in it with the CD player and cassette, which is kind of nice. Does come with a couple of key fobs for keyless entry, panic button, trunk, all that good stuff. But overall, the vehicle itself has been very well maintained. So kudos there. So we're going to start looking at that coolant tank. My plan is to start by draining it out and seeing how much oil is in there, and then run it for a little bit and see how quickly oil fills back in there, if it's a big massive leak or if it's just a slow dribble, and kind of go from there and gauge our next steps. So let's get to working on that. All right, folks, looking in here, we just have one bolt to come out of here. It is a 7 mil, and then tank should just lift out, I believe. And I am correcting myself, there is just the transmission cooling lines in here. There's no oil cooler running through the radiator as well. So just looking at this tank here to get off to start with, and go from there. So here we go. Now let me quick show you before we remove this. If you look down in here, you can see definitely what looks to be oil type substance. So that was what I want to look at quick and see how much is in here. There we go. I'll show you. There's a little corrugated tab you have to kind of pull out at an angle. This brings us to our lovely, there we go, coolant overflow tank reservoir. So all in all, only a little bit of oil floating at the very top here. So I'm gonna go ahead and drain this out, try and strain off the oil, and put it back together. Maybe try and clean out this tank while we're at it. All right, so now I've gone and cleaned out the coolant reservoir. I was able to get out a lot of the oil residue that was stirred up from dumping it into the temporary jug. There's still a little bit right here, but I'll definitely be able to see where it's at. And also, if you notice, the full cold is way down here, and this was full all the way up to the full hot level. So we're going to start just refilling the coolant down to here, and see where we go. But what you notice here is coolant. It's a little bit of oil. Maybe that amounts to an ounce worth maximum. But otherwise, I mean, green milk, yeah, that's not so good. But at least my milkshake doesn't bring all the boys to the yard. Sure. So a little bit of oil, a lot of coolant. So that's what we've got going on. So leave some comments below. Have you seen this before? Do you have a alternative thought beyond the head gasket? Go ahead and let me know. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and put this back together, add some coolant, and let it run for a little bit. Maybe even take it for a little bit of a test drive, since we really haven't gone any farther than down by the shop to the garage. So now I would think these should have some sort of clamp on them here, especially this one. It's pretty loose, but I don't see that there is a clamp. So granted, it's going to be low pressure. I will still probably find something to put on there just to make sure it stays attached. There we go. Now what's interesting is I did take off the radiator cap earlier, and there was absolutely no sign of oil up here at all. So that is a little perplexing. For right now, we're going to let it sit because it is wet and raining outside, and that is no time for a convertible drive. So we'll cap this back up. And when the weather permits, we'll go for a drive. But my thoughts, what do we want to do with this car? I know I've got to give it the good old the shine and detail with the ammo products. Headlights are a little bit foggy, but just a very brief second with some Pro Speed compound from Meguiar's brings off that haze, and I'm sure once I put it on my DA, that'll come out like new. Side markers are all good. The finish itself is in a really good condition. I think it just needs a good wash and wax. So here's just another sample. With this light, it's really difficult to tell. But here is before and after, just with a little bit of the Meguiar's Pro Speed compound and the ammo skin. Maybe you can hear it. Smooth as glass over here. So finish should really come back. Tires, Cooper CS5 Tourings. They've got most of the meat left on them, which is pretty good. Date code is from 2014. So getting there with age, but for the little bit of driving we'll be doing with them for right now, they'll be just fine. And again, tread wear is great on them. Dog butt. Otherwise, let's see what else here. Let's see. What else do we want to do? I know we can get the conversions for the LEDs for taillights that go sequentially in. I probably won't do that. But what I am going to do is find an LED headlight upgrade, just because everything else in our fleet that runs on 12 volts is LED. So that would be great for safety, brightness, and whatnot. Otherwise, I can't think of anything we're going to do to it. It's the base model. It has the standard rims on it. I'm going to keep the rims. Nothing wrong with those. We'll have to go and give a little shakedown and see how it rides for the struts. I do have some records of tie rod ends being replaced, so that is excellent. The trans was flushed at about 80,000 miles, so that's also really good. But again, you can see the interior here is pretty much in like new condition. There's no wear, there's no stains. None of the plastic, like the dash isn't cracked or anything. The only real wear is up here where the garage door opener would sit and is taken in and out. So I will likely find a replacement visor. And that's really the only thing cosmetically that I can find that would need to be, or even consider to be, swapped out. New wipers. The engine sounds good. We'll run that here later on, but it purrs like a kitten. It's quiet, smooth. I did go for maybe a 4-block test drive before I picked it up, and it shifts smooth, it drives straight, it brakes straight. I did check the air cleaner. That is clean. That is a nice Fram oil filter. I do have a Motorcraft oil filter, so we're going to swap that out and throw in some synthetic and keep that consistent with the rest of the vehicles here. But for right now, we're going to wait for the weather to clear up and go for a drive and see what the story is for getting oil back into that coolant reservoir. So for right now, we will sign off and be back shortly. Here at 60, and it sounds good, it feels good, runs great. Sure, it's only the V6, but it's got a little bit of oomph behind it. Nothing big, but it'll get the job done for a Sunday cruiser, that's for sure. We're gonna run into town, grab a fresh tank of gas, and get her back in the garage. Well, folks, we went for our little test drive into town for some fuel and some groceries, and car ran great. It does have that little V6, about 145, 150 horsepower. Nothing too big to write home about, but that means I can't get into too much trouble with it because we've got the Beamer out there for that. So I think our next plan of attack here, we're going to go ahead and get the engine cleaned up and drive it a little bit more, get the rest of the car cleaned up, and see if we can't try and trace and see where that oil is coming from. Now, there is a sort of an overly slick coating inside the radiator, but after our probably 22 mile drive into town and back for gas and groceries, I didn't see anything else coming back into that reservoir tank. I don't have the light in there now for you to see, but it is just nice and green in there. When I peeked in there, I didn't see any sign of oil coming in yet. So we're going to give it some time, drive it, and see what happens. Otherwise, the car mechanically feels really solid. That's pretty awesome. May take a look at the shocks and struts and the wheel bearings, not wheel bearings, ball joints and whatnot, and see if there's any play there. But the car really felt solid. So, Mr. Fly, go away. So really, we're just kind of keep going through it, give it a once over, and see what we find. It does have a new serpentine belt on there pretty recently, so that is good to see. A couple of the things that may Need to be looked at the idle air control valve. Make sure that is clean and not crusty in there, as well as the mass airflow sensor. Those are a couple of the subject items if we do have any symptoms of running rough. So we'll take a look at those and just kind of go ahead and get her cleaned up. So here's what she looks like now. We'll go ahead and break out our good old bit of ammo cleaning products. Guess you can see in a little better light here. It's a little ding here in the parking lot. One right back here if we can find it. It's tough to see, but it is right there, little guy. And then one little one right back here. Pretty much the exact same spot on both sides of the vehicle. This one may be able to buff out that scuff, we'll see. Otherwise, take a look. I mean, door jambs are clean. There's no rust down here at all. If you poke your head under the bottom too, I mean, look at how clean this is under here. This is not seen a Minnesota winter at all. This is beautiful. So, you can still see all the paint under there too. So yeah, really, we're just gonna go ahead and start cleaning her up. I have already looked a little bit at finding some LED kits from Glowtech, the same as we tossed in Truck Norris and the wife's Subaru Outback. Those seem to be a pretty favored item. So right now, we'll just kind of keep investigating and checking in on our oil and the coolant situation. Probably take a look at the spark plugs, 120,000 miles roughly. See how those look. And then just go from there. So we'll go ahead and get cleaning on it. All right, folks, we are back here, and it's been a while, but the Mustang is clean. She's actually been clean for about a week and a little dusty right now. But that is country life for you. Overall, haven't done anything really with the carpets yet or the seats, but the interior itself just got a good wipe down and cleaning. Dash is all nice and clean, polished up. The cover for the convertible top, that was pretty dirty and dusty, so that got a good cleaning, and that looks darn near brand new right now. Of course, it was really never used, so it should be new. We did go ahead with a kind of a three-step process for paint correction here. We hit it with the Meguiar's Pro Speed compound to get some of the hazing and and whatnot off. Actually, four step. Then we hit with the Meguiar's swirl remover, which did help quite a bit. There's still some, of course, blemishes in the paint just for being a 22-year-old vehicle and previous owners and care. But I think one of the saving graces being a convertible, you're not going to run through the automatic car wash with it every day and get the swirlies that you would normally get from the brushes. So that's pretty great. So after we hit the Pro Speed and the swirl remover, we hit it with the Ammo Reflex and then skin. And that's where we're sitting at now. Cleaned up the rims with the Ammo Plum. I still have yet to take off the rims and clean behind them. Project for another day. But we just kind of wanted to get her cleaned up. I have not yet been able to find oil seeping back into the coolant. But I did find, it looks like the compressor for the air conditioning is leaking slightly. So for now, we're going to go ahead and give a little bit of recharge with stop leak and see if that'll hold us off for right now until we can figure out the engine issues, because I don't want to go start replacing parts like the compressor for the air conditioner and all that stuff if the engine is going to be, a lost cause, for example. So we'll sort of just kind of get that through for the moment. And we have yet to have time to work on the engine. But what I did do, just for fun, is do a little bit of spot cleaning in here. And real quickly, it's tough to see again with the light, but I did just the before and after, left and right, or after and before, whatever, up on top, and you can see it will definitely clean up really nice. So that is also on our agenda to do. But for right now, we're going to sort of table this for the immediate moment, because we have got to keep working on the shop. And the reason I haven't put a lot of effort into this the last few weeks is just we've been working so hard to get the walls up on the shop and get ready to have some very gracious friends come and help us get the roof panels up. So that's kind of our primary focus. The weather will be getting disgusting soon, and I would prefer not to be putting up steel when it's cold or snowing, which Minnesota, it's almost October. Anything can happen. So for now, we're going to park this project right here. So stay tuned for further updates. Check out Instagram, whatnot, Facebook. We'll definitely be posting more information there. And I'll always hit like and subscribe below, share with your friends, and we'll see you on the next video. Take care.